It's June 1990, and we are at the Kalamazoo Lakeshore and Chicago line, west of Paw Paw, Michigan. What we have here now is the dinner train, the noon dinner train, returning. I have to apologize for the video. This was the very first video that was shot with a new camcorder. So there's going to be quite a bit of shaking going on. It was a very windy day. I hesitated to even post this video, but because of the historical content of it, I figured it was still worth a look. I wish I could shoot this over, but it can't be done anymore because this line is done. We are just west of Paw Paw. I believe this is 36th Street. To the right is the, at the time, Coca-Cola plant, just south of Red Arrow Highway. There was a spur going into the Coke plant, but I don't believe any freight ever went there from the KlS&C, probably under prior C&O management. Engine 2066, an old ex-Santa Fe unit. It is listed as a GP7, but I believe it is actually a CF7. I think Santa Fe had it modified for freight service, and that usually involves taking down the long front hood and rebuilding the cab. There probably is somebody else out there that would be able to verify that by looking at these locomotives. I believe this one here is the same case. KlS&C operated from about 1987 to the mid-90s when they went bankrupt. This was when they were in their heyday, and they had quite a bit of tourist-type operations going here. I believe right now they are running about 2 dinner trains a day on the weekend. I'm not sure what their schedule was like during the week, but they also ran several excursion trains, so we'll get to see a little bit of that later. If the shaking gets too much, just hit your pause button if you really want to see something good. This was really a comedy of errors putting this video together, but like I said, it still really has some historical value. You can see there the pretty good shine on those rails. We'll see more of that later. It's probably the shiniest they had been in quite some time. Now we are in Paw Paw. This is where the little station was that they had set up for these trains. I believe right now the dinner train is repositioning on a siding because the tourist excursion train is going to be coming in. You can also see that track not being in the best condition there. Even though that's telephoto lens, it still gives a good idea that that's not the straightest of track. They did do some rehab on it. This line ran approximately from Hartford, Michigan to Paw Paw. They did have some freight business in Lawrence, that I am aware of, but the main business was always in Hartford. There was a frozen food warehouse there. At this time, I believe CSX still operated about 1 mile in from Hartford, which took in that business at the frozen foods warehouse. But in later years, that changed. They had hoped to get business going in that Coca-Cola plant that we just saw earlier. There was a spur going in there, and it was talked about for many years, but I don't believe they were ever able to do that, or I don't even think future operators have been able to. Coke just did not want to switch over from trucks. You can just see how those cars are out of line from that track work. I mean, it almost looks like that train could be derailed, but it's not. There are some resources you can find on the internet concerning this operation and the locomotives. I believe several of these locomotives are out of service and probably scrapped at this time. I'm doing this commentary now in 2019, so I'm kind of giving a new, up-to-date version of what happened and what's going on now. So there is the excursion train now that is pulling in from the west. They will be letting passengers off and then taking on more passengers for another trip. The excursion train only ran as far as Lawrence today and back. I'm not sure how far the dinner train went. I think it went out farther. It might have went almost as far as Hartford. I'm not sure about that. I never rode the dinner train, but I did have the privilege of riding the excursion train several times, and it was a pretty nice ride. This, of course, is wine country. The Paw Paw area has a lot of wineries and winery tours and that sort of thing, so there's a pretty good flux of tourism in the summer months. And that's what I think really helped this line prosper there for a while. The problem being, what do you do in the winter? Now we are just west of Paw Paw again, not as far as the Coke plant. I believe this might be 36th Street, if I'm not mistaken. And now they will be coming westward, heading toward Lawrence. That is engine number 85, also identified as a GP7, but again I think it's actually a CF7 because it was rebuilt and that the long front hood has been taken down, and I think the cab is extended and rebuilt. I'm sure there's somebody out there that will know immediately what the deal on these engines are, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Again, this was an ex-Santa Fe unit. I guess Santa Fe did that modification to many of their locomotives. See that locomotive rocking a bit. Some of it's my camera, but not all of it. Nice paint scheme. I got to check out the cabinet unit when they first brought it in. I believe it was the fall of '87, and they was just getting started up. Originally this was Pierre Marquette line, then of course CSX prior to KlS&C. Better shot of the shine on the rails. Like I say, probably the shiniest that track had been in many a moon, with all this train activity for a short line. This is M51. They had a pretty nice straight shot where they crossed there. That video's a little more acceptable. Believe there was a siding there. We'll see if we can see that, where I think they had, yeah, you can see there's an old caboose and a passenger car, and they had a couple engines that were stored there. I'm not sure if those might have been inoperable. They're now heading toward Lawrence. Yeah, they filed bankruptcy, I believe, in '95. I suspect a lot of it had to do with maybe too much growth with all of this excursion dinner train stuff. The problem with dinner train operations are the novelty wears off. You know, it's a pretty pricey ride. It's not something that people are going to do twice a month or something like that. And it just wears off, and then what do? I know they did gain some freight business in Lawrence, but I don't think they were ever really able to gain that much more. I'm not totally sure where this location is. I know it's somewhere east of Lawrence. I'm thinking it might be 46th Street, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I tried looking at the Google map and I can't really identify. There's another locomotive sitting over there. Since '95, this line has been operated by West Michigan Railroad. They were just a freight-only operation. They never did any kind of excursion or dinner train, as I'm aware. The most recent development is now they filed for abandonment of this portion of the line from Paw Paw basically to, I think, just west of Lawrence. I think that is still ongoing. I know now there are negotiations underway for trail use of this line from Lawrence to Paw Paw, except for 2 miles that passes through the Lake Cora area. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. That's a very interesting story. Here they are pulling into Lawrence now. I believe this is Paw Paw Street. They had a double siding there, and just to the right of this, you can't really see it, but there's kind of a warehouse building there, and they had a boxcar dock. And I actually have pictures taken where there were boxcars sitting there. I think that's business that they gained when they took over, but I believe that company went out of business ultimately, or I'm not sure. I don't think that there was any freight activity there in later years. I think now in 2019 this track may still be in place, but I think it's just all vegetation covered, and like I said, there's negotiations underway as we speak to make a trail out of this segment. Lake Cora was a very interesting situation. That's a lake that's east of here. And basically the track kind of went right across the beachfront or lakefront property of homes in that area. Of course, you know, they weren't very happy about that. When KlS&C tried to purchase the line from CSX, homeowners in that Lake Cora subdivision filed a suit and tried to get it blocked, but their grounds weren't effective. They tried to say that the line was abandoned and could not be sold to Kalamazoo Lakeshore, but the court ruled that that wasn't the case. CSX never had abandoned it, so they had every right to sell it. They weren't very happy about it, though. I remember one ride that I took on the excursion train. At that time, you could tell there were disgruntled people in that area. I remember actually being mooned by one of the homeowners there. I thought that was kind of funny. Too bad I didn't have my video camera. So when West Michigan took over, I think they tried another lawsuit of some kind, but again, you really couldn't do much because railroad to railroad, you can't really stop it. Now, when West Michigan filed here several years ago to abandon, they made sure that they took care of themselves, and West Michigan actually sold the homeowners or homeowners association, or I'm not exactly sure how they did it, if it was individually to property owners, but about 2 miles, which is basically the part going through the Lake Cora area, was sold to the people there. So it will not be a part of the bike trail. They will have to go around that. But it's my understanding there was a proviso that if the railroad ever wanted to relay the track or reoperate to Paw Paw once again, they would be able to do so. But whether or not that will ever realistically happen, I probably highly doubt. They're pretty good about giving cab rides. As you see here, they have some people coming into the cab, and some went back. They were a pretty friendly operation. I don't remember that gentleman's name, but I believe he was a retired railroader from some major railroad. Now they will back towards Paw Paw once again. Hi. And they kind of back off into history. If I continue with this project, I believe I do have some other footage of the E8 that they had running, I believe it was a dinner train. I think it was better quality than this too. I think by that time we were able to figure out how best to use the camera, or at least use it better. But I hope you got some value out of this and enjoyed it in between the shakes. If you want to see more, be sure and like, subscribe. Like I say, there's probably some stuff you're not going to see anywhere else. Again, thanks for watching.